Prior to what we have now seen in that elevator, was there ever any incident of violence in your relationship with Ray, or has there been any incident of violence since that elevator incident?
No. I apologize for the part that I took in this.
Did anyone at the Raven say, Janay, it would be really good if you issue some kind of an apology?
They suggested it, yes.
Did they come up with the wording?
No, not specifically. They basically gave us a general script. I do deeply regret the role that I played in the incident that night.
In an interview with Matt Lauer's Today Show, that was, of course, Janay Rice. We all remember her being the woman who was cold-cocked in an elevator in a video that was released by TMZ. And the person that perpetrated that upon her, of course, was her then-fiancé, now her husband, Ray Rice. Hard to imagine us forgetting any of that. There's the image right there. Now, of course, Ray Rice wants a second chance. He wants forgiveness, and he may very well get that. To unpack this and so much more, I'm joined in studio by Alyssa Freeman, public relations expert, named one of Twitter's top 52 PR pros, and Sandy Annunziata, former CFL player and is now a regional counselor in Niagara and also a commentator on TSN. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Let me start with the former CFL player. So we have all of this unfolding. Now Janay Rice does her very public interview, ostensibly saying, leave us alone. This never happened before. It will never happen again. Your take?
Well, if you look at the institution that is the NFL, this is an organization that has its own internal policing system. They've created surveillance to monitor their players' behavior. They've actually created policies that run counterintuitive to constitutional amendment rights. All of this to protect the brand, to protect the logo, to protect the shield. Now they would have one of their most egregious perpetrators be in primetime television wearing that very same logo that they're trying so hard to defend. In my estimation, I don't know how much collusion there is right now, but I'm sure the commissioner has a say as far as if a team is going to grab Ray Rice.
When I watched that, and this is your forte, you're the PR guru. This is a beautiful woman. You know, she's well put together. She's sitting there with her mother. She's articulate. She's candid. She's not. There appears to be no reservation in anything that she has said. But what I did find interesting is that she ostensibly, without saying it, was somewhat scripted by the NFL when she came out a couple of months ago.
Adrian, this whole thing is scripted. There is nothing that's left to chance, especially with that interview with Matt Lauer. You know, when the Today Show calls, the first thing they say is, we're going to let you tell your side of the story. Of course, you also have to sit across from Matt Lauer, who really doesn't care and will ask anything that he wants to ask. Number one, she said, well, no, they didn't tell me what to say, but there was a general script. Okay, that's being told what to say. And not only that, but even the way the whole interview with Lauer was choreographed. She's sitting there with her mother. You know, well, why would she be doing that? Well, to say that, you know, we don't accept this behavior, we didn't grow up with this behavior, so I'm going to corroborate that my daughter is really a good girl and has never had to deal with this before.
Yeah, and it, you know, I always get frustrated when I hear stories like this because we always talk about messages that these types of stories send. And we certainly talked a lot about that in the last couple of months when the video first came out from TMZ. She had her body, it was a limp, lifeless body that he dragged out of the elevator. And, you know, one of the things that keeps popping up, and I'll put this to you, Sandy, he's a football player. Why not just do the tackle? Or the block. Just hold her back.
Well, there's two ways to look at this.
Like Jay-Z did.
Yeah. There's two ways to look at this. We could either shudder and look away in disgust at some of the things that the NFL does and the policies it's created to protect its players in this situation, or we could actually applaud the NFL for being proactive and putting these policies in place. But having said that, it's a pretty sad commentary that you have to put these policies in place in order to defend the actions of your players. It's a league that's based on revenue streams, and at this point, I don't see how they could possibly embrace bringing a guy like Ray Rice back into the fold.
I want to unpack that in a moment, but I do want to show a clip of the Today interview with Ray Rice specifically and what he had to say to Matt Lauer. Let's have a look.
We didn't see a ton of anger on Janay's face. We also heard her apologize. And at that press conference, we didn't hear you apologize to her. And that upset a lot of people. Do you understand that?
Yes. I definitely understand that. And I made a horrendous mistake. not apologizing to my wife. We was going in, we were giving what to speak about. It wasn't truly coming from us.
All right, PR guru, what say you?
Well, you know, when I first heard this, is Ray Rice wasn't home, and then suddenly he shows up. Okay, number one. Number two, he has been very clearly coached and in what to say and to be apologetic. But I will tell you this, that the NFL has been running by an old boys network and old boys rules. And suddenly those rules are not going to pass muster, especially in public opinion, in the court of public opinion. So the one thing is, it's fine for Ray Rice to say what he's saying because he's saying all the right things. But at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words. What else is Ray Rice going to do other than an obligatory interview with the Today Show on sort of a safe-ish morning program? What are those other things? Is he going to show up at a white ribbon rally with his wife and say, I did wrong? Is he going to go to women's shelters? Is he going to actually walk the talk? Because at the end of the day, he still wants to get signed by another NFL team. And I don't know about you, Sandy, but I will tell you that when push comes to shove and football is a religion in the States, he will be signed by somebody else.
I agree with you. We talked about this on the radio this morning as well. It's about ratings and revenue. And of course, this was the appeal that Ray Rice put towards the NFL when they did suspend him. Second suspension, the judge overturned that. So now he's a free agent. And I'm not excusing any of his actions and not even going to make any apology. Like, I'm not even going to try to rationalize it. But the fact is, Sandy, he was a good player and he remains a good player. And at some point, because of the history of the NFL, and it happens in other professional sports, notably the NBA, they do turn a blind eye when it comes to ratings and revenue. Who do you think would actually be willing to take on this PR nightmare?
Well, I hope no team would, because at the end of the day, this is an NFL league. You can't suck and blow at the same time. You can't hold yourself up as this socially conscious organization with role models and mentorship at the primary focus. And then on the next occasion you have, Ray Rice is going to be in the spotlights of primetime television wearing the very logo you're trying to protect. So there's this... it's very difficult because at the end of the day, it's a business and it's about wins and losses. And I don't think the risk-reward factor is any greater for any team to bring Ray Rice into the fold. He's a talented young football player, but I would much rather see a very contrite and a very well-rounded, holistic version of Ray Rice. Be a better person, be a better man. Prioritize those things first before prioritizing extending your career in the NFL.
Does this begin his rehabilitation process, as it were? Is this the beginning of it?
100%, because he will do the things that he needs to do. He will be told what to do, and his wife will support him, and she will be by his side. One of these things that I really object to, every time a man has done wrong, what they do is they drag out the little lady, and she stands there contrite with her head bowed because she's supposed to be there. Janay Rice being no exception. There's a litany of women who have been doing that in the past 2 years, quite frankly. But as long as Ray Rice walks the talk, does those things so that people can see, well, you know what? He's apologized. He's done his time. He's shown some improvement. You know what? It's okay if my team, my favorite football team, takes him back.
Yeah, and I think that's the sad reality of how these things are going to move forward. There's another issue that has been brought to the chairs, the head of the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, who I think has handled so many things very poorly in the last few months. Here's another issue that came forward to the commissioner's office, and this has to do, of course, with the riots in Ferguson after the grand jury decided not to indict former now Constable Darren Wilson. Here's the head of the St. Louis Rams.
As far as the choice that the players made, no, they're exercising their right to free speech. They will not be disciplined by the club, nor will they be disciplined by the National Football League as it was released today.
Of course, we just saw it over the weekend. Sandy, this is the response when the 5 black NFL players on the St. Louis Rams came out with their hands up. Now there will be no suspension, there will be no fine. But isn't that contrary to the actual rules in the NFL?
Yeah, I think there's actually policy in place for public signs of political protest or devaluing the NFL brand, and certainly that is a prime example of doing that. You know, the NFL does a great job of trying to protect its logo, protect its brand, and these things are just distractions. So I think it's kind of hypocritical that they're not penalizing or fining these players. I mean, I'm all for solidarity, and I'm all for standing up for what's right, but if you sign that contract, you're also signing that personal conduct, and you can't pick and choose winners and losers if you're Roger Goodell and the league. It's a level playing field, and unfortunately, it's too subjective right now, and that's why there's so much turmoil. And Roger Goodell is seen as a commissioner that has to go.
Alyssa?
I agree with everything that you said in practice, however, in theory, actually, but not in practice, because right now the club had absolutely no choice but not to suspend them, because that would have actually started a whole other path of destructive PR. These guys came out peacefully. They came out in a way that hands up, don't shoot. And the way they did it, like, when I was watching the piece, with the smoke coming out and all of them were together showing solidarity, there would have been a bigger PR nightmare had the club suspended those 5 black players than they would have not doing it. And so while they did contravene probably what was in their contract, they chose a time where they knew nothing would happen to them. And I have to tell you, in a good way, I have to say it was done in a peaceful way and it was done in a solidarity way. When I read the article and they said, we wanted to show this as role models, that we couldn't be there in Ferguson because we know how dangerous it was. This was our way of showing people that we are with you.
I think this speaks to, but the fundamental problem happening at the NFL. Ultimately, it's one set of rules on one side and another on the other. And I'm not just specifically talking about the hands up, don't shoot demonstration. I'm also talking about the Ray Rice. They suspended him for a couple of games when they found out that he had allegedly hit his fiancée. Then they extend the suspension when the video comes out. Like, that's, I guess, really where I'm fussed by most of this. We have 30 seconds left. Sandy, shouldn't Roger Goodell lose his job at this point?
Well, there should certainly be a review, and there should be some sober thought as far as who's going to lead this league. I mean, we're talking about billions upon billions of dollars and trying to protect that image and that brand. I certainly think there should be more thought as far as who's going to lead that league.
Last word to you, my friend.
I think they need more of an oversight of a task force, separate to the fact of the commissioner. So the commissioner can do his job, but then there is some sort of external task force made of people that are not necessarily NFL friendlies that can actually help oversee and provide judicious process to some of these decisions to give them where they can't see the forest for the trees.
Okay, great discussion. Big thank you to both of you, Sandy.